Start recording. The recording has started. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another board meeting. So we do missing people. I don't know why they think they need a summer break, but they are taking a summer break, such as Christian. So let me just check and roll call a little bit. Mark is here. Owen is here. Tamara is here. David is here. The other Dave say he is going to try to call. Not sure he is going to call. Robbie is here. Brian is here. So do we have a quorum? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We do. Thank you. Welcome. So as usual, this is the first time Brian joined as a board member, but have interacted with everybody here and there. But my thinking is still we still go through properly. So the agenda, as usual, the first thing we really want to, I checked like this too early, but let me ask us the motion to approve June agenda. Has everybody got a chance to review? Anybody got a question about the things we discussed from the last meeting, the June meeting minutes? Is that okay to, do we have anybody say motion to approve the meeting minutes?
Motion to approve.
Anybody second? Did I say that right?
Yes,
Second.
yes.
Okay. Is that approved?
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. Tamara, you just highlight the whole thing.
Did I? Sorry.
You highlight.
There we go.
I see that's Tamara. So meeting approved. Just in case anybody want to see what I say in the past, I still uploading all the records, recordings to the YouTube channel. So if you cannot find it, let me know. But once you go there, is on list. So you have to using the playlist to find the particular video. Is record over here. I'm going to stop sharing for now. The first thing on the agenda is welcome the new board member, Brian. So so some of us has worked with Brian for a long time, but I think it is proper to just go through the process and explain everybody's role on the board in the organization. And if you are sure Brian knows exactly what you're doing, you want to make it really short and move forward, that's perfectly fine, I think. Assume Brian accept that particular response and situation. So I will start, and I will leave the Brian as the back end, so don't put pressure on him. So we should introduce ourselves a little bit. I think Brian knows exactly my role over here at Quincy Robotics. So, and anything that nobody want to do related to Quincy Robotics, then I will do it. So that's pretty much my job. And the title is, usually I use what I use right now is the CEO for Quincy Robotics, and semi-retire or retire, and from corporate America, and majority time with John Deere, has a lot of experience and knowledge in equipment manufacturing. And recently also pick up, if you guys see, I kind of announced, try to drive some conversation on the LinkedIn space, saying, I have a new position, so I'm not leaving anywhere. I just say, QCRA, I have a new program, and I'm going to run it too, on top of everything else. And one of the things I feel very excited is tied to my consulting project with Honeywell Space. So that link very well, and I just thinking about this is going to be another exciting things that Quincy Robotics can do that go beyond K-12. Okay, so I'm going to go through the individual on my screen and just try to make a circle. And the next person up is Mark.
Okay, yeah, I think Brian knows me too and what I'm doing. Just besides being the chairman, of the board, I've been focusing in on the succession planning for Kai Wynn as the president, CEO position. And yeah, otherwise, I mean, I don't know what else you want to know about me, but you don't already know.
I know enough, Mark.
Okay.
Take that any way you want to.
Thanks.
Next up, Rob.
Hi, Brian, Rob Hillman. I've been sort of an on and off member of the QCRA board for a few years. I just recently rejoined after returning from living in Houston. When I left, I had to give up all my board positions. QCRA was one of my favorite. Since I left, and maybe perhaps because I left, the whole process has transformed. It's become a much better organization. So I don't know whether, so I'm happy to be back. And my two areas of focus are fundraising and also focusing on sort of the scholarship and trying to figure out ways to structure scholarships for folks that cannot afford to pay. My background, electrical engineer, went to MIT, was a research scientist for 4 or 5 years, went to business school, got an MBA, worked on Wall Street, sold my soul. And Wall Street brought me down to Charlotte, working at the Nations Bank, now Bank of America, as a structured finance analyst, so structured bond deals. And as a way to reclaim my soul, that's how I got engaged and involved in being a robotics coach in the first and foremost way. And then, that's sort of my background.
Excellent.
Okay, next up, Dave.
So Brian and I know each other for quite some time via MHI and other aspects. But Brian, in a simple way, I'm focused in support of funding for sponsorships and in support of Mark and team on the succession planning. Those are the 3 main areas of focus. Right now, I'm in support of QCRA, and then, of course, whatever else the team asks or needs in a moment's notice.
Awesome. Next up, Tamara.
Hey, Brian. We've talked a little bit, but I don't think you really know me. So a little bit of my background, I'm a second career attorney, started out in marketing and operations for corporation, went to law school because I loved what I was doing, loved lobbying in DC, and decided I don't like practicing as an attorney. So now I run operations for a law firm. I am not a nonprofit attorney. I practiced in real estate, creditors law, bankruptcy, and so yeah, that's what I did for a long time, and have had enough of it. Operations is truly where I belong, unless you ask Kai Wynn. He thinks I should have been an engineer.
Yep.
I do love creating and tinkering with things. That's how I've learned over the years. And I think it's a great way for kids to learn. So that's why Queen City Robotics is just a fantastic opportunity for kids, especially kids who don't have this opportunity because of where they live or their income. I think offering it to them is really critical for our society. We need to make sure we can get to those kids.
Excellent.
Okay. So, Brian, maybe you introduce yourself to us.
Absolutely. So I am Brian Kager, 35 years in the automation robotics material handling industry. I am currently now the Vice President and Chief Commercial Officer at a system integrator for automation warehouse solutions. But I got my start out of NC State as a mechanical engineer designing mobile robots back in the day. So know a little bit about this stuff, been doing it a long time. And this is actually, if anybody knows me, they'll know that actually education, youth, that is also my passion. Just spent some time down at the Skills USA competition in Atlanta, had some fun there, met some really interesting, and that's what really excites me is when I see these young people come up with so much passion. You know, we've been in this industry a long time, and sometimes we just kind of like, yeah, we're doing this and we're doing that. And then these kids come up with all this passion and you're just like, it reinvigorates you, right? So I kind of like doing this because every now and then I need to be reinvigorated. And the passion that these kids have, it does that for me. So, so my role, Kylin and I have discussed so many different things, is really just to do whatever I can to support this, to get engagement. I have a large network of people. I've already brought some people in. Kylin and I actually gave Bill Webb a tour of the facility not too long ago, and he's with Ashley Furniture. His only concern was that there was a room full of IKEA furniture in his Ashley Furniture sponsored room. So we told him to take care of that himself. But I love the industry. I love what I'm doing. I love the network that I'm a part of. A lot of you guys, we've had a lot of good discussions, and I'm excited about what we can do here. I'm excited about going out into this community that we have of so many people in this industry, in this area even, that should be involved with this organization and they're not. I'm slowly getting Coca-Cola on board with all my contacts there. Don't know if you know this, but I went to school with most of the executive staff at Coca-Cola and even did some cow tipping back in the day with the chief information officer. So, but Daryl's been very kind to support so far with beverages every time we need something. But I'm pushing for a little bit more. So that's me in a nutshell.
See if you can make them become the ongoing event sponsor for the hackathon. We need a lot of snack and food.
I'll do it. I also have connections here with Lance Snyder Food, so we can even tap into them.
Please, if you can just take care of that, that is a good thing.
All right.
Okay. So I'm looking at my meeting agenda, so I'm not exactly sure I have captured enough information about the hackathon program, but we will just do at the parking lot at the very end. We can talk about it, and as well as my thought about why bringing that in and how we are going to move forward with that program. Okay, so the typical agenda, roll call, we go through the open comment. I'm going to just go through a quick one and turn it over to Mark. Again, this question has been asked multiple times, and you guys all should have you have the ability to log in the share drive. So in case you don't know where to find it, there are 3 documents. You can just pull that, just click over there, especially QCRA one page. Everybody asking that over and over again. And I don't blame anybody ask, but one way you can stop asking is one pager link is here. Okay. So any things you wanted me to put on the meeting minutes as a shortcut, I can do that. And that's, as I mentioned, try to update the one page like every year to make sure the information is still mentioned the same. We will later turn on the asking the committee. So the Mark is leading the succession committee fundraising. Suppose, I don't know, Dave, we have not have a whole lot of conversation after the planning, but the fundraising committee is led by Dave. And the scholarship distribution is Dave Phillips, and I'm not sure, is it Rob? Did Dave has a chance? You two got a chance to meet? You are mute.
Yes, we did have an opportunity to meet last Thursday.
Yeah, so if you can, there's a so over here, if you want to go ahead and put an update a little bit, and I will type as quick as I can, my ability based on pending on my ability, how fast I can type anymore. We will keep the update over here. Mark, you have any opening comment before we go to finance?
Just to pass along that I was recently out at the zone. I took a team from Rexroth over there. We're actually planning to have a workshop over there in August in our collaboration room. So I've been promoting that in our facility, that we need to utilize that, and plus it's my ploy to get more people over there to see what's going on, because I've been constantly begging for more volunteers within our organization, and so this is one of my ploys on getting at least the management team over there to see for themselves. So we're going to have a 1-day workshop over there. And part of the workshop we're putting in the agenda is to do a tour. And I talked to Ayala about having some Yeti robotic students there to give us a tour, show them the robots. But I just took a small group over there, and they were quite amazed. And actually, one of them was the one that had visited the old site too, and was just like, "Oh my gosh, this is a totally different organization in this space." And they were overwhelmed when I took them around the corner, and the practice field was wide open there, and they were like, "Whoa, this is." And then on top of it, the summer camp was going on. So Ben was there with the Yeti students and all these young little kids, then running little Lego robots around in the aisles or in the hallways. So they're quite amazed that we had that going on there. And anyway, so it really, I mean, it's just an example of how we've really, with the new facility, have really positioned ourselves as a very, I would say, very reputable organization, very serious organization that I know we've been doing it. We need to do more of, just to utilize bringing people to that space to see what we're really doing. It's totally so much better than what we had before. And it's a lot more credibility and professionalism to what we're doing. We're planning to have this workshop, so there's a lot of logistics things we're understanding on how to do, but also one of the things that we will do is lay out a script that if anybody else wants to do this, we're being the guinea pigs, and we're laying out all the things that you need to plan for and do to have a workshop on site there. So we'll have that also laid out for everybody to do at once we work through it this one time. So again, something else we can put in our tricks, hat of tricks that we have, and to get people to the new location. I know everybody here has been trying to do that, and just through the introductions, hearing about all the stuff we're talking about, fundraising and sponsorships and all this type of stuff. I feel like we're really doing all the right things, but as Kaiwan will probably show us here in a little bit, we're really stretched on the money side. So again, a broken record on that topic, but that's really needs to be our main priority. I know, me included, we're all very busy, but trying to use our networks and any little chances of conversations here or there, get somebody out to the site will really make a big difference now that we positioned ourselves for that. So that's all. Just was really, really impressed and really proud to bring the people through there too.
I'll tag on what Mark is saying. So we are have a script or a pattern how we run the event. Sinshala event last time, Mark, I think that's pretty success to have them over there. And that the same story is like we can have other CSC, CMP. I was talking with Peter to see if we can bring them over. And we are talking about SME. We can bring them over. Maybe Rob, you have a connection with Black Engineer. Bring them over. Say have their monthly meeting. We are getting that pattern down. We can run an event very comfortable, especially with Bosch is going to donate a bunch of tables. We are going to make that even better.
That was one thing we found out we were missing were tables, enough tables to have a workshop. So I said, okay, let's buy some, and we're going to leave them because we don't want them back for sure. So that's another good way to get extra stuff we need.
Yes. Yes, and those table, I'm 100% sure, is going to come in handy during Hexon. So as we do more, we just build up. I'm going to share my screen one more time. Any beginning comment or something we want to put on the parking lot, we want to talk before we wrap up today? If not, and I hope everybody really read through my email about our financial situation. So see if I can move this out of my way. Okay. So if you're using the meeting, so I stopped doing individual link. You go into the file, you should be able to see. Excuse me. Still good. You can just go into the whole folder, and just for your information, right? You can, if you really want to look at our tax return, the file is over there as well. And we have every month, so a snapshot, we look into history in the back, and you can take a look. So go to the first thing we're looking at, what I was looking earlier is looking at the breakdown in the detail. So one thing I think is very encouraging, if you read the note, is we have a 514, and that's what I was reviewing earlier to see where we were a year ago. So there's a significant portion, if you can take a look, there's a 59 grand, that is a summer program with the CMS, things I mentioned about in my general comment. So we have a program income of 212K from the same period last year, but we do not have that anymore. So to a degree, is that a big issue? Debatable, because what really matters is the net income, because this is passed through. The funding program fee we got is go to the team as well. So that's how we support Avian last year. And that is also part of the reason we count impact. We will have a general comment about exiting Avian later, but circle all the way back is we do have an increased donation. One of the impact is the adopted room, but at the same time, we also have a strong, highly increase of a leasing cost. So that everything go into a very high level summary, and encourage everybody to take a look. So the first one is this particular first line item is causing us to write off 9,000. In reality, what we did not get is more than that, is somewhere around $14,000 we did not get completely. But on the communication, some of you got a copy. We just tell Avian to say, we don't believe you can count with the money, so we are going to just write off. And Tamara is the one give me the last nudge to say, just get over. Because one of the major problem, and Tamara, you can jump into to speak from your thinking, but at the end of the day is it takes too much of my time, just deal with their issue.
Yeah,
So-
it's simply a matter of resources. We've got some really important things that need to happen, and we didn't need you to be tied up on attempting to make that fiscal sponsorship membership work on its own. It's just, now is not the time for that.
Totally agree.
And so keep moving on over there. So every month I actually spend pretty significant amount of hours to just go through the finances, looking at everybody's, trying to make that, push that forward. I think that's a very, very important thing that's absolutely necessary for us to make sure all the team has a financial understanding. However, I also would like to say is that is something, if we can find a volunteer training up, the people is comfortable looking at the budget and the budget planning, as well as a financial statement, that would be awesome. And I'm making that statement at the same time. I also realize during my corporate day, I want to promote somebody into that position. Look at my budget; those are unicorn, very hard to find. So the only thing we can do is to try hard, and hopefully luck will be on our side. Circle back. Rolling 12 months, what am I comment earlier? 550K, significant increase. 100K will also, there's an increase on the facility operating cost. We're still looking at that, the 4 years impact. We still have HVAC system is not fully resolved. And we are trying to using one of the volunteers, which is the parents of the past member, robotic students' parents, who is running HVAC company, because the original one is asking a price just not reasonable, and the property manager agreed, and they are providing very poor support. However, we are just dragging on that one, is also look at it as if a time bomb that we don't know is the HVAC system is going to cause any problem, which does have some slight issue recently. About half of the building has become hot. It could be just a pure temperature issue and a control issue.
Yeah,
So
how significant is this? Is this something we can put off to 2025?
the HVAC system, we should not, because we do not have a maintenance schedule. Okay, the bright side is the cost is less than 10 grand. That's what we shoot for. And the update system, they are giving us a price of 20 grand. We are talking about to say, no, we are not going to do that, but we should put the system on the maintenance program. So, but at the end of the day, we should have a 10 grand reserve for anything that could go wrong on the HVAC system.
Yeah, I could tell you when I was out there last week, it was at lunchtime. It was a hot day. I can't remember. It was one of the scorcher days. It was okay up in the collaboration room, but you could tell that. And I looked at the thermometer, or not the thermostat, and it was on cool all the way. And so I don't think it could do much more. But I guess we'll find out when we got 25 people in there all day on August 22nd.
So to that comment, anybody has this comment has been coming out all the time. Those thermostats are not real. They behave nothing but a sensor. So this is a problem about the 20 grand cost that we say is too high. Is the old company used to be in this place, has an electronic control system tying into all this space. So those thermometers are just a sensor to drive for the equipment to control the blower. So right now we are looking for a way to say either we tap in the system to replace override the control of the air handling unit, or we just completely just changing the system to use a smart sensor to control it by individual room. The project manager is helping us on this one is Locke Hassan, and he is going to ask in GNS what I mentioned earlier, HVAC company run by one of the parents, and take a look and to see how we move forward. So Mark, I totally understand what you're talking about, and but that is also the problem is the air diversion is not as what we are wanting to moving forward, and we don't have ability to control as of this moment.
So there's no chance of increasing it the day we're there then? To bump it? No. Okay.
No.
Right.
No.
Okay.
Only thing could improve would be the first one. We want to make sure people close the blind.
Yeah.
The blind heat up so much, and I don't know why every week somebody just open it up and say why. That's point number one. Point number two is if GNS can do something about the system before within 30 days, then you probably will have a significant relief.
Is that the name of the HVAC company? We should advertise that to everybody.
No, the GNS is what we are asking for, and once once they fix this, we definitely is going to say thank you and whatever. But they are just a vendor. So
Okay.
right now we just, because the property manager tried to fix this problem for us and it failed so far, and that's the reason we tell him to say, I know you want to you want everybody to use the same, but we really don't want to wait. So we are going to find our own, give it a try. And oh, by the way, if you want to just switch in and move the whole business over, I think they are happy to see that too. And that is our current play right now. Circle back to the comment. So we are still looking at the full impact, and there are 59K increase in the facility operating costs. And so we got more income, we spend more as well. Why I sent out the letter to asking everybody to take a look is there's a 50K on last year for the CMS summer program. And because we actually cover everything, let me take that back. The comment is more appropriate as there's a 50K income last year, and I have not found a direct replacement.
Was that the CMS robotics?
The 50K from last period was the summer program. So we move forward with our own summer program, but we are much smaller. And we do not have, and you can see the estimate, our net income is not quite that high. So long story short is I look at that 43K gap. I cannot play in my head and say I have direct replacement. There's also the full impact, another 40K on operating costs. I anticipate is going to come in when we stay in the building for 12 months. So that means in my head, there are almost like 60K gap. I cannot tell you for sure we have an income to overcome. So depending on how you want to look at it, is the glass half full or half empty, right? If I say half empty is, I don't know how we covered it. So we have a 60K gap, which means in 2 to 3 months later, we might get in trouble. That's half empty. That's really empty. What we don't know, at least I don't know in the history of QCRA, is how fast we can grow the donation. So there's a chance we can grow our donation, the individual donation, all the way to cover all the 60K plus something extra. It did happen in this kind of gap replacement in the 6 years when I worked for QCRA. So what I don't want is declare we have no problem and we just keep our finger crossed, and which is not a good strategy, right? At the same time, this board has come in and supporting the idea that we should have eventually has a pay staff. So we need to build out the reserve and start to really bring somebody become a pay employee, either part-time or full-time, and that should be another 80K gap anyway. So that become my conversation is, if you look at everybody, so the board encourage and state we want to hold each other accountable for the give and get expectation of 10 grand. In reality is based on our tracking. I know if we track in detail to $50 increment, then there's a lot of say who actually bring in this one, and it can become ugly. So I don't really think there's a point of has exact tracking, but at the same time, I also want to have the director to say how close you are to the 10 grand. And I don't think that's a majority are close to 10 grand. So assume all of our 8 director all bring in 10 grand. Those probably is going to be closed really, really almost completely. So that's my point, and that's the reason I emailed to the director instead of just crying to everybody to say, "Hey, we are short. We are going to no." But that's the situation is the directors, you guys encourage me to say, hey, hold everybody accountable because that should be a nonprofit's job, nonprofit director job. So that's the thing to say, we really need to identify 60 grant source that is new, that is somebody we have not get the money from in the past.
Right. Kaiwen, what's the urgency behind that number? Are we talking, do we need that in the next 60 days, 90 days?
We should have cash on hand for at least 60 days. And then we will have a membership jump and the membership run from FTC, especially FTC typically like the pay in the beginning of year for the full amount. So we should have a cash flow over, but we are talking about annualized. We need this number. So is that urgent in 60 days? No. Will that be a good thing? The money start rolling in 90 days? Yes, because that's also the time we are going to spend the money for the hackathon.
So one thing I've been researching is fiscal sponsorship, because as we've been talking about that, just trying to understand it. To me, it's it's actually a lot of work to run programs like this and be the fiscal sponsor, which I think what we're doing right now, and just charging the flat fee is fine, but long term, as we add teams, it will become more important for us to look at charging according to what that team is fundraising for, right? So my research indicates nonprofits are charging anywhere from 5 to 10% of the donations that are coming in for whoever they are sponsoring. So say they're sponsoring Yeti brings in $100,000 in donations. We get 10% of that because we're administering this. Again, the way we operate right now, I think it's fine, but ultimately we are going to have to pay someone to do this. That person's going to need to be educated to do it correctly to protect our 501(c)(3) status. And we will need to look at adjusting at that time so that we can afford that person.
Agreed. And so nothing to push back. I want to make it clear. One of the things, so this, if the board thinking about we should have the mid-year strategic planning, then that probably is a good idea. We did that last year. We have a 2. This year we got a little bit busy, so we have not talked about the second one. But especially Brian, you have not seen this before. I know Mark and Tamara has looked at it multiple times in the past. I think Dave, you saw exposure. Robin, I'm not sure you have seen this one. Probably just briefly, but long story short, what I really want to point out, the reason we should do exactly what Tamara said. Before that happened, there's a gap we have to close, is the deficit in this calculation. So what we're really talking about is a cost sharing model we start originally, and you have a seasoned lead mentor really implement to say there's no way, it's not allowed, we cannot charge more. I just say somebody got to pay the delta, right? So for funny reason, every time I have that conversation, people just look at me. I don't know why, but And but circle back is we just say the cost of the running a place, which means the fiscal sponsorship, those fringe benefit was free of charge, right? We are not talking about that. Or administration cost isn't free of charge, but this is just running a building. The team is only covered up to 65% during a budget, and so these are the things. In reality, is they are the user of the building, they should cover 100%. So I think there's a big gap we need to close right now. So it's a 71K. If you look at administration costs, if we charge for 5%, the number is still smaller than 70. So that's the situation right now. So I'm not zero pushback from Tamara, zero. what I'm saying is that we have to close these two.
Yeah, I agree with that completely, but we need a plan to get there.
Yeah, agree. And that's the thing to say. And everything is online. You can take a look and we can have a discussion, but we really, every year we do a strategic planning. We talk about some, we have not. There are a lot of places that can deserve to have even more detailed discussion to become tactical. Question?
Clarification, we need a plan and people who can implement that plan,
Thank you.
right?
I forgot edit this item, so I look at Brian's face and that made me thinking about this. So he's volunteered to be a guinea pig, and I wanted to share this one to the board. We have using this way with the what we call PayPal giving fund, which is charging no fee, but it's not easy to use. I started to have a question about how much time I am spending on to go through the free platform and not doing the fundraising, so how much we lose. The thing about givebutter.com, it does charge a platform, but majority is charging credit card cost, which is even PayPal giving fund is charging for that. And in addition, the givebutter does has a much shorter lead time, so the cash is going to be available to us really much faster. So what I do is if you go to even QCRA website right now, if you click, they actually take you to givebutter. So I want to just share this one to the board. If anybody push back, we can go back to the free platform. But I thinking about say that we are reaching to the organization reaching to the speed is say we need to start spending money to gain speed. And that's the reason was I am proposed to move to givebutter for the speed, and the givebutter does have this benefit of the way they charge a platform fee is really at will. So is they using a term as tip, so the donor can choose how much they give, or they can also choose just cover for transition fee, which is the credit card. There's no platform can avoid that, right? So that move that. And the reason also, the number one reason on top of that, why we move over is really the ability of a monthly charge. You can do a monthly charge through ACH, also through, I think even PayPal, but credit card for sure, right? Like I donate to other nonprofit organizations. NPR is the one I donate every month. So, and I use a credit card, and literally the fee is pretty much my 2% back for my credit card. So to me personally, it's a wash. That's the reason I switch over. So if nobody has any pushback or recommendation, we will move forward with that. On top of that is I am not asking for a lot, but I really hope somebody actually can give it a try so we can see how system work other than myself. So we can give it a try. And I know Brian's mentioned about you want to start reoccurring. I forgot that. I forgot to ask, do I have your permission to mention about your?
Yes, actually, my wife's supposed to be setting this up this week,
Okay.
so.
Yeah. So the givebutter is you can use a credit card, but we are also talking about Brian and myself. Our conversation last time is talking about say you can use a bill pay too. Your bank could have a bill pay. You just sending the transition to us and directly through ACH or check. Either way is fine, and that is a way to avoid the transition cost. The reason I mentioned over here is that's something we also want to promote more. Carrie has put on the newsletter, so anywhere we can find a way to push that, and that would be a good thing.
Is that what you
Another
use at
question.
Hops and Bots too?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
So when you go on to and maybe you can navigate, I really was that, can you take us through and provide us the link that goes directly to Give Butter so that we,
Yeah, so it's QCRA website, right? Original donate button, you click on that. So what I clicked earlier, this screen pop. Look like a donation site. So there's a two-way you can do is go to a wrong route, which you go to the homepage website. The other one is just givebutter.com/QCRA.
QCRA, okay.
Mm-hmm. So once you go to this website, you see all this donate button over there. You can read the mission statement, everything, but you click on donation, you got two sides.
Okay.
So you can just one time and you can go to monthly. So let's say $5, continue. So here is what I'm talking about. The processing fee, this actually is paying the credit card company, right? The financial institute. So you can do a credit card, debit card, PayPal, or use ACH. If you use ACH, I think the fee is lower, jump to 0.4, right? So this is what we're talking about platform fee. They have a recommendation of $1. I think that's a proportion to the donation amount, but you can take it to 0 if you want. Then everything else below, just a regular online payment screen. Question?
So the tip is additional to the fee, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So the industry terminology I learned from is this tip, other company call that platform fee. So this is their profit, their margin, not necessarily profit, their margin, right? And this processing fee is for the financial institute for the financial transition. So a lot of the time they lump these together, just say, hey, pay 3%. But in this particular, they break that down so you have a choice. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Jump back to the financial update. So any other questions regarding our financial situation? So Brian, and this for you and other people should heard that once upon a time. So there's a two different file. One is cash based. The other one actually is accrual. So I think that's good enough explanation to you. If you don't, you need me explain more, you can let me know. One of the reasons we using accrual is that's how we file tax. And there's a lot of things we still try to figure out with Robert Bales, which our fractional CFO, we pay him. And he's providing a bookkeeping service with us. We still have a couple of discussions talking about, do we want to change our fiscal years? So we bring the fiscal planning, additional fiscal planning discipline to come in. Just in case, if you haven't never pay attention in the past, so this is exactly where I pick up from to talk about the comparison. The approach I use is 12 months, year to year, same period comparison. So during the past 12 months, we're still positive. That's good information, good story. And this, the negative 43, despite we have a CMS project, everything is because the CMS is paying at the wrong time in the wrong place because of accrual issue, and eventually we have this delta. The bright side is I do everything to keep this one above 0. We might run into the situation that below 0 next month. hopefully September we can replenish and just be good for an annual base. I want to also show this before I really move away from the financial. So what I'm looking at closely is, as I mentioned, I'm worried to a degree, right? So you compare the June 2023, the cash on hand is 68,000 and we are 95. That itself is good until we start talking about, say, the lease payment. June of last year is still all location. So we have that delta, and that's the reason I started calling a concern, because our buffer is short and small. Another thing is we have to pay for the remodeling of 34 grand. So that is going to draw this one really down. If we consider that impact, we are lower than same time last year. Move forward. Policy update. Something I remain is very important. I really want to do it. And if you have a safety engineer at your facility and willing to volunteer, we can take them to do this particular one. Tamara and myself will try to address this, and we think we should update, including the user training. Right now is important, but the urgency is the issue pushing it out. That also is part of the reason, at least to myself, my interpretation about Tamara's push is we really don't want to continue engage with those conversations and physical sponsorship with Avian. We really want to save those time. There's other things we should do is more important. For the new member, you can click over here, you go over here. This is the list of our planning for all the event, like QCRA Robotics is leading. Is it either leading or would be a big part. So you can see what we are planning over here. There's also a GC over here is for all the team we have in our hand. So Brian, and you probably never seen this before, so I just want to point that out. The next item, if that's all black, that's really pretty much from the last month, but I just wanted to let everybody know. Adobe Room brochure is update, and Brian mentioned about Bill Webb's comment. Those information is in the new brochure. You can take a look and sending it out. We still have a mini room can using some help to be adopted. Okay. Everybody, if you can excuse me for 1 minute, we got our summer camp program manager is asking a question. Apologize. Parents' question, I think we probably want to give him a direction. Move on next, committee update. The first one is succession planning. Mark?
Yeah, so really two things there. So I met with David and Rob, and we looked through the job description, and mostly we talked about is the same we talked about in the last board meeting, is what's the chances we're going to find this gem of a person. to do this, and that probably our best plan to do this is actually look for someone that can grow into the position, either a volunteer or somebody who's willing to come in as a board member, mainly on the marketing, fundraising side, or on the operations management side, and or someone who's willing to, again, do more of a revenue sharing position. So the action item that came out of that, and I was going to take a stab at it first, is to create a couple other job descriptions to detail out what we're looking for these feeder positions. So one we called VP of fundraising, and the other one VP of operations. I mean, those are the two really main positions that fall under the CEO or president job description. So that's the next step that I'm beginning to work on here, is to create at least a skeleton job description and get feedback then from those guys on that, and then we can start using the one we have for the CEO president plus these other ones to use in our networks and help then find someone who might be interested in fulfilling one of those roles or part of those roles, either as a volunteer or someone serious about doing this with some type of revenue sharing. So that's the one thing. And then the other thing, I did reach out to two potential candidates for this position. I think I mentioned that to everybody. And they both came back and said they understood what we were looking for. They thought it was a very fair opportunity, and well described. So they did give me some little bit of feedback on the job description or the job itself. But unfortunately, they said it's not what they're wanting to do right now. So that was the feedback I got from both of those. They didn't close the door on it, but they all said they had currently other things that they're wanting to pursue and be active in. And they just couldn't see where they could right now wanted to take this time to do this job. So again, some good feedback, but yeah, struck out with both of them. But anyway, so if I haven't already, I'll get this out to everybody. At least everybody can have a copy of this that you can use in your discussions with other potential candidates or in your networks. They also said they would look out for us too. So I guess spreading the word also is a way to achieve this. So whatever we can do to do that, and then additionally, I'll get these other job descriptions done. Kywin and I also looked at the org chart and maybe there's a one or a couple other ones too that we need to work on to be able to use then to try and convince people to come volunteer and or work for us. Okay. Any questions or additional comments from anybody on that?
Fair summary.
So then we'll move to next, Dave, Mr. Swivel.
So the process that we have going right now is we've done the Hops and the Bots fundraising process a couple of times. It has been okay, successful. Let's be very realistic. It hasn't turned over what we expected. We do have the process outreach that we are doing, with is just simple informing and asking for donations. But with the deficit that we have in place right now, we have to be very open and honest with what can we do within such a short period of time in order to generate the missing funds. I have conversations going on with Christian. Brian, we do need to have a separate conversation about this as well. Because the time period, of course, I think Kaiwen is set for 3 months in order to find the deficit, or 2 months. I have to recheck the original notes. But it's not a whole lot of time to find and support the deficit from this. And the last time we spoke about this, we have developed a local campaigns contact list for Greater Charlotte Mecklenburg area, plus an extra hour outside of the the geo zone, looking at headquarters and looking at contacts in order to invite to. And we do have the necessary documentation now via the emails that have been sent across already from QCRA in order to invite. We have the hook because we've identified the sponsorships and the one pagers and other aspects, so the collateral is there. What we don't have is a cementing event where we can actually provide and bring people to invite for the strong donation position. And I've already reached out to a couple of localized contacts in order to say, can we connect onto someone else's event? There's 4 or 5 different local fundraiser events that are happening in Charlotte as we speak that are already pre-scheduled. And I'm seeing if there's a possibility that we can actually get QCRA attached to 1 or 2 of those. It's a much smaller, we're, one of like 9 different companies that, the fundraiser would be happening for. But at least that way we can get exposure and a connection to the sponsorships with it as well. I'm going to pause here. I've had exactly 1.5 meetings with Christian Dow on this, and I do know that we need to resurface. Yeah, I know it's been kind of hard the last couple of
1.5.
literally, because he jumped out of the middle of it, similar to Kywin said, "Hey, I got to take a phone call," and the next thing you know, that was the end. But what I want to say amongst all this is that this is a reoccurring theme, and we need to pour some extra energy on it, and the time window is exceptionally short. So I'm always open to more ideas and whom to speak to. We have collateral, and we now have contacts. The question remains is, what are those short, quick wins that this group can discuss? And then I can spend the next energy of the next month heavily focused on those, open to all ideas.
So one thing I wanted to share too is, so on the hops and bots, what I truly believe in is that if we keep asking and keep having that people are going to realize, hey, I should come to this. Okay. I've got people that, it didn't work out for whatever reasons. I get replies saying, hey, I would love to come, but I'm out of town. And maybe, the last one maybe wasn't the best timing and all that. So I think we're learning. So I still think that's a really good thing for us to keep doing. One other thing I found out is through another network and another project I'm working on in the community, these guys approached me to join some activities they're doing. And they said we should have a meeting. I said, well, why don't we have the meeting at QCRA? And these are the same guys that I've been inviting to Hops and Bots that I didn't hear anything from. And then they like, oh, what's QCRA? So I said, okay, well, they're like, man, we can help you have an event, a fundraising event. And I said, well, guys, actually, I've invited you to the last 2 and you haven't said anything. And now they're like, well, shoot, well, we'll help you on the next one then. So again, I think it's just a matter of time. I mean, I would hope it's just a matter of time, 1 or 2 more, and this really starts taking off better for us. I don't know. But the repetitiveness, I think, and keeping the word out in front of everybody, it hopefully will pay off. I don't know.
And so, Mark, we do have the events that we do. We haven't necessarily begun to connect onto other people's events and being one of many. And we also have the personal give back process. Kywin, you mentioned earlier, and you showed us the link and how that works. So we do have different avenues. And then the final avenue is direct executive sponsorship, whether it's a corporation sponsorship or an individual sponsorship. What we do need to do is get into a more consistent practice and process, pushing this. And yes, I will go ahead and say mea culpa to this. I need to spend a lot more energy on it. Mark, if you can get me connected to those individuals so we can have a conversation with them, that would be of great help. I've already reached out, Brian, conversations are already going on with Ralph Henderson as well about, and he's the one who connected me to the local fundraiser connections and the local fundraiser scene, and some of the events that they're sponsoring in support of multiple local nonprofit organizations. So Kywin, need more energy put behind this without a doubt. Mark, need connections and contacts to those that you can think of. Rob and Tamara, if you can think of other avenues that you want me to run down fast on. But we do have collateral and we do have connected contacts, but what we don't have is a consistent engine behind it as of yet.
Yeah, I guess I would say, and I know your schedule's been quite busy, but I would like to get on your calendar so that we can kind of have a chat about, I'm kind of on the committee, so want to kind of share some ideas. There are a couple of things that I will throw out here for just kind of to get a sense of people's experience with Zoom fundraisers, right? Where you have a speaker or some kind of entertainment and people are kind of drawn in and then an ask is made and you collect money. I've seen that done, and I've heard good things about those. I mean, in terms of people raising, 50, tens of thousands, or actually hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's been more for political candidates that I've heard versus maybe not for profits, but I wouldn't see why. I'd like to figure out if we can get that to work for not for profit. So a lot of that is who is the audience that you want to reach out to, and what is the quote unquote show that you're providing on the Zoom call, right? And so whether you're talking about workforce development in America, right, and you're inviting all these people in to talk about that and saying, hey, folks, well, our solution is, these robotics teams. And again, the other thing that is done that I've seen around town is someone, particularly at No Da Brewing Company, because I happen to know the owners, but they'll sponsor an event and solicit folks. You have all your friends and come down to No Doubt Brewing, and they give you maybe a cut of the tab or the money raised that day. Again, it's a little kind of like hops and bots, kind of sort of, but not necessarily the same. But it's more kind of getting your friends to come to one place, drink, and have some money siphoned off. And it's not just your friends, because there'll be other people there drinking as well on that day.
Okay, so the Zoom fundraising, thank you for that. You are now the second person that's mentioned that to me, so I definitely want to get on your calendar and discuss a little longer about for us to do panels, or we use educators to present material, some way that we can actually draw in what a Zoom fundraising process would look like. So that'd be very good. The local brewery is also a good idea. The hops and bots, again, we had success in respect that we've gotten people to show up, but not necessarily to donate. We were not necessarily doing a cut of the profits. So that might actually be good, where we can actually work towards getting a more consistent engine put around that, where we could actually have like once a quarter, there is a day that it's a sponsor day or a support day. And QCRA is the local that is supported for the day. Whether it's NODA or others. Go ahead.
So Dave, can you describe or put a definition behind what you mean by engine, right? So are we talking about we have a specific volunteer or a team of people executing the plan? Because right now our challenge, for example, to Rob's point, recently Kerry is driving the nice baseball event, right? That's exactly like what you mentioned about No Doubt. So people buy the ticket to join the nice event, we will get a cut for that, right? So we have a lot of pieces we can put together as a plan. And that is, I mentioned to this board, talking about, say, I need to have a marketing person really put the calendar. So we have a consistent message year after year, because we do have a pattern, right? So we don't have that people. So what I really try to figure out is, Dave, are you talking about we have to have an engine? Is we really have somebody who is in charge to make sure things happen?
So two things. You actually have someone who runs the engine, as what you were speaking of, an individual that actually activates, makes certain that the expectation and the output occurs, without a doubt. But the other piece is the fact that when I speak of an engine, going back to the Knights event itself, is to say that is what our summer, this is the playbook. The playbook is, it's going to be a sporting event. This is the collateral. This is how we're going to push out. This is the contacts. This is the constant contact. This is the engine, the process, the playbook that we're going to run. By the way, we're going to run this process twice a year. Once it's going to be with the Bobcats, and the other time, or the Hornets, and then the other time it's going. Sorry, I go back years in Charlotte. Or the other one is going to be the actual Knights themselves, and we can have a fall one with the actual
Panthers.
Panthers, thank you. Yeah, or the Charlotte Football Club that I was just recently at this past Wednesday. So my whole point to this is that an engine is to say, this is the playbook. This is who owns activating that playbook. We have the client, the clientele that we're going to reach out to on a consistent manner. And all we're doing is we're just repeating the exact same thing 4 times a year. Hops and bots, same exact thing, 4 times a year. I just want to get it more consistent because our approach right now has been good, but it's also been ad hoc. We're learning. We're basically building
Correct.
the engine, but we're flying. So
Correct.
that's my point behind this.
Got it. So the terminology you use is executive or parallel to Gretchen's was mentioned about we don't have a marketing calendar. They are the same thing. So
Mhm.
so if we look around at end of the day, is a lot of things tied together. One is we're talking about we have to have more of this event. We have a Hus and Bar as a format. And we now has another coming in the scheme is the hackathon. And we also has all these people reaching out, start forming a pattern. And the things, the nice things we are doing right now is with our own buildings, we can have a lot of event in-house. In addition to say that Sim Chalet is talking about they want to come back again in fall. So that's a specific audience we can talk about. They come over here. We also can do a little bit. They have no problem with do a little bit fundraising at the same time, right? So we do have all of these things, but circle back to what Mark is talking about is we really should find somebody running that engine because we don't have we tap everybody's on this call. We are really stretched to make sure everything happens. We can use more people. So it's tied back to that is if we can find a candidate to be a future candidate to leading the organization to start practicing this, that is going to be awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, Dave, any action that I should note on the meeting minutes or any support you want to get from everybody else?
The immediacy is to have another pre-planned series of touch-base conversations. Mark, Rob, Brian, myself, Christian. Tamara, I don't necessarily think you had volunteered earlier for this. I don't believe so. I'm not asking you to volunteer either.
No, I didn't. I would if I had time, but
Yeah. But what I would like to do is that I'd like to go ahead and identify a time, either beginning of this week or excuse me, end of this week or beginning of next, because we have 2 months, 3 months in order to fulfill this gap. So we need to sit down and figure out specifically and quickly what can we do while talking about a much larger story of what is more of the consistent marketing calendar, the engine that I speak of.
You got 4 of you guys on the call right now. You want to just spend 30 seconds to nail the time?
I would. Can everyone give me some time on Thursday or Friday? That looks best.
Thursday after 2,
Okay. I can make it available.
Friday after 1.
Friday after 1 is available, a little more available for me.
Look at Brian.
I got Thursday after 8 o'clock at night or Friday after 7:30 at night.
And that sounds familiar too.
I'm on the road just starting tomorrow morning, so.
Yep. Which one works best? Rob?
The all of the above, actually. I'm pretty open. The evenings not so much because I generally have some other stuff scheduled in the evening. But after 8:30, yeah, sure. How did you look? Brian, you said you're hitting the road. When do you come back off the road?
Friday.
The following Friday?
No, this Friday.
Oh, this
And
Friday.
then I'm in town for the weekend, and then I'm gone again through Thursday, and then I'm back for Friday, and then I'm on vacation until sometime in August.
Oh, okay, well, we'll schedule some of your vacation time.
I'm already got meetings set up for my vacation time, so why not?
So I mean, I'm good in the evening, probably Thursday evening. Well, actually not this Thursday evening. I got too much going on Thursday evening, but I was certainly free from Mark's timeline that he laid out. I was good with those
Hey,
timelines.
So here's a thought. Can we do next Monday morning? I actually will have some free time in the morning starting. My meeting start at 10 o'clock next Monday, so I can do something before that.
My hesitation is that I have been requested to go to Boston for a fast turnaround on Monday, the 22nd.
Okay, so that doesn't work.
Right. And, my next potential open spot would be Tuesday, the 23rd. Probably around 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. is my next open times. So much for 30 seconds.
I feel like it's Thursday to bring Rob and Mark up to speed together, then a one-on-one between Brian and Schweibel.
We can always talk over weekends too. We do that already, so. But I mean, I could break away next Tuesday, David, for an hour between 10 and 11.
Okay. I'm going to need to drill or drain your head of things anyways, business-wise. So Rob and Mark, on Thursday the 18th, what time is best?
Being later is better, 4 o'clock, but anytime after 2, sorry.
I can do 4 o'clock. I said, Rob, you sounded like you were available, but not into the evenings. Was 4 o'clock okay?
Yeah, 4 o'clock is fine.
All right. Getting it on the calendar, send you both an invite just shortly. And by the way, thank you, gentlemen. I do appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Glad I couldn't help.
You'll help soon enough.
You will be.
Don't worry.
I'm not worried about that.
Like you do it in half meeting intervals, like you do with Christian, do a half.
Yeah,
meeting.
pretty much. Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the scholarship distributions. Rob, do you want to update for Dave?
Yeah, briefly. I mean, we got together, probably chatted for about a couple hour and a half. Actually, I might even extended to 2 hours. But 1 second, let me see if I can. Let me find it. Share the screen. Is that working? No. Share. Screen. And do you see my screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, good. It worked. So we got together and we kind of pulled together this sort of map of questions and considerations. I think and I'm not going to go through all of this because there are really probably a couple of things. There's some questions, threshold questions that we need to answer, and actually it's the one up top. So Kaiwin and I spoke prior to the meeting, and I think Kaiwin, if I got it right, you were kind of saying there was a $2,000 sort of fee or estimate that would cover the cost of each student. And then there was the $2,400 if we additional amount if we needed to include transportation. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so then the one of the questions that we had was, does the $2,000 that covers just the membership fee, or is that fee plus other team expenses? So there were some questions that we have that we need to get answered. But the idea, what we were trying to hone in on was how much money did we need to, as from a scholarship perspective, how much were we looking at for each student? So it seems like for some students with transportation, it's going to be about $2,000, and for those that without transportation, it's $4,400. And so that was, that was.
Yeah, and that is FRC students.
And these are, yes.
Your statement is actually correct. So the 2,000 covered just the membership fee or fee plus other thing expense. The answer for that one is $2,000 is all, everything.
Everything. Okay. Good. Because there was a question whether there was still some more money that needed to be included. And but that's it. That's everything for it. And again, thanks for the clarification. This is everything for an FRC student. The other students, it gets cheaper. Transportation probably doesn't change much, but
no, it will shrink too. So FRC meet year long, really year long, right? So it's 50 weeks. So that is a cost times 50, weekly cost times 50.
Okay,
right.
40. Okay, well, I guess we
Yeah,
use
and then
40.
FTC team usually don't meet as often as long. So we can say the budgetary number is instead of 50 weeks, you probably can
20.
cut out. I would say budgetary number should be 30 weeks.
30 weeks. Okay,
Yeah, so 60% of 2,400.
gotcha. Well, so yeah, the 2,400, that was 40 times 60, so that was 40 weeks, right? Not 50. But again, this was meant to be a high level discussion, right?
Yeah, that's a very high level. That's a budgetary number, right? So we just got some idea. We still need to have a more conversation. And so we use a little bit number to fluff up down is $60 per person. But if we can all pick out in the same place, then we have additional discount.
Gotcha.
So that's the reason we end up is like 2,400 should be able to cover for FRC students, but there's a lot of logistics things. I mean, we get Brian engaged to have this travel salesman type of calculation to figure out how we lower the cost by the most efficient way to pick the student up. So again, those number, both the 2,000 and 2,400 are budgetary number.
Right. So that's the most we would expect to spend as opposed to the least. Yeah.
Based on estimate, correct.
Yeah. Okay. And that's great. So that was something that we just needed to clarify amongst ourselves. The next piece was then trying to discuss eligibility. So who would be eligible to receive, the $2,000 stipend or the $4,400 stipend, and that kind of devolved, and there were kind of two things that came out of that, which was we probably first and foremost would go with free and reduced lunch, which we thought would be pretty easy to administer because the parents would be able to just say, I qualify or I don't, versus having to administer a program where we're trying to collect data from parents, like their tax forms or whatever, and determine their income and then determine who is eligible or who is not eligible. I think the other overlay was also zip code. It's basically to say, hey.
So I want to jump in. So this is a lesson learned, and we administrate the feed for the summer camp. There's a lot of parents will say my kids have a free lunch because we go to Title I school. The whole school is a free lunch, so it's not reflecting about their financial situation. What do we use right now? The most obvious answer. So our summer camp is actually we just abandon. We want to have more students, so we just can. However, if you go to Title I school, we take you. So the free lunch actually it become a bad process for Charlotte because there's a lot of school provide free lunch. Everybody got free lunch, so there's no such documentation. However, most people provide the documentation is the Medi-Aid document.
I'm sorry, say what is that?
It's Medicare document. So if they are low income, they have the Medicare insurance for them.
Medicaid. Okay.
Gotcha. Medicaid. Yes.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was gonna say Medicare. They're not 65 years old.
It should be Medi-Aid, AID, right?
Medi-Aid. Okay.
Yes.
I guess that's the state program or something. Okay.
That is a federal program.
Okay.
So you have a low income enough. The students, their insurance is covered by government.
Right, and that's the okay. So that would be
that would be a good one to use, not free lunch.
And then the third thing that we kind of talked about was really this idea of the establishment of a QCRA scholarship fund where, money would go into the fund. That money would then, flow to the teams, and then the teams would use that money to effectively reimburse, would pay their fee, for instance. So money comes in, goes out, comes back. Or if money just stays here, probably from Kaiwin's perspective. But that was what we got a chance to discuss. We were going to reconvene and also the other sort of to-dos for both of us was to sort of reach out to other programs that have scholarship funds in place to see how they're managing eligibility and then sort of the flow of funds and transparency so that we know, if money, so that everybody, involved in the process is comfortable that they're being treated fairly, and I guess there was one question about that we did have that I need to get an answer from the group, and it related to first requirements and how will that roll into this process. So again, each of the teams is required to do fundraising currently. Well, Yeti certainly has a requirement, right, for its students to do fundraising. I think actually all the teams had a requirement. Clearly, the teams that are, from wealthier, that are composed of wealthier and more connected, or people that have higher social capital, right, are gonna be more successful at maybe more successful at raising money than those that have lower connectivity, say to the corporate community, and lower quote unquote social capital. So there was a question about how do we kind of determine what's fair for teams that are basically have different amounts of social capital, right? So if it's if your team is consistent of parents who are all working at Bank of America or all working in industry, and they have the ability to only contribute themselves to you and or get matching from their employer, it's kind of going to be easier for them to do that and get money to the team versus, if your folks are, say, plumbers, carpenters, electricians, where, the money is just maybe not as much money and not as much connectivity to, large corporate entities that can provide money. How do you balance that out? And we didn't have an answer for it, but it's one of the problems. And I don't know if you've guys
if you
Sure.
go back to your 2000, that actually balance out, right? So the requirement is the family give the first 300 to 500 depending on the team, and the team raise the rest of money up to 2000. So when we give the scholarship to the student individual who qualify for this, which the assumption is also their social capital is going to be more challenging than others. So the $2,000 is freeing up. We pretty much say QCRA say their fundraising responsibility is waived, so they don't have to raise the rest of $1,500. So the average cost per student is 2,000 regardless. So the teens, if they have a social capital, the family contribute the first 500, and they use their social capital to raise the rest of 1,500. So for the students we are supporting is, we say we take care of your family's initial contribution as well as your fundraising responsibility. So that's the reason money go to the team will make sense, because the team don't have to push the student to do a fundraising.
Yeah, and I guess I would always have a question about it. I think it should not be. We should still push everybody to do fundraising because it's a skill.
Yeah. So what we mention when we talk with the team is we waive their responsibility. We are not stopping them from participation. Gotcha. Because a lot of fundraising activity for the team is a joint event, not individual event.
Gotcha. All right. So that's what we do.
One thing I want to ask Rob, you kind of mentioned it before this conversation about this topic, but you mentioned other organizations that provide scholarships and getting in touch with them, or sponsorships for students. One thing I was looking at is you sent me the website Leading on Opportunity, and if you look at the nonprofit organizations that they've identified there, Most of, well, not to say most of them, there's a good number of them that do just what you're talking about. They find students that are in need, and they actually give them scholarships. They sponsor them to go to college. Okay, but they're identifying these students already in high school. So I was wondering, if there'd be an opportunity that we could convince them to sponsor them even earlier in high school to be part of robotics. That leads then into their scholarship to go on to university. So again, just some ideas there too that I've was wondering about.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that site. But yeah, so the thought process is that somebody solved this problem, right? We don't have to recreate the
Right.
wheel.
Yeah. And could we piggyback on them? I know, Kywin always tells me that we can't go to nonprofits to ask them to support a nonprofit, but maybe you can. I don't know.
Well, there are, like what do you call it? Whether the fund for the Carolinas?
Yeah.
For the
Yeah.
Carolinas, the arts
Foundation for the Carolinas.
Foundation for the Carolinas. I guess there's something also called the Charlotte Area Fund.
Yeah, I think that was on there too. Yeah.
Yeah. So just before this meeting, I actually sat down. I don't know if any of you know Astrid Chirinos. Not sure where you might have come across her. She used to be the executive director for the Latin Chamber of Commerce. She's currently she works for the Y, and I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah.
She currently works for the Y.
Yeah, that's another one.
We go back along, and then she, she mentioned the Y. There may be the Y there may be an opportunity with the Y to kind of figure out a way to work together. So starting to kind of get the wheels to turn on both fundraising on one side, and that was really what the conversation with Astrid was about. How do we, raise funds for.
And what I also noticed, there's some of these nonprofit organizations, they hire true organizations to provide camps and things like that for these students. So why couldn't we be the organization that provides camps for these students? So again, there's things we're doing that maybe we could fill and rub, pat each other, rub each other, on the back to help each other. And
yeah, that's a very interesting point. With my fraternity, we have a summer camp. It's actually it's converted. It used to be and I kind of liked it more when it was this way, but it used to be a go away, sleep away, play in the woods kind of camp. Yeah. But now it's kind of a STEM camp at Winston-Salem State. Yes, I noticed that people were saying I got to jump, so I'm done with my section. Love to kind of talk to you.
That was good. Thanks.
You are important enough for me to tell my client on the West Coast to wait 10 minutes. So,
well, thank you.
But I do need to go because the meeting's waiting on me now. So,
yep. So did I just knock Rob off?
Nope, I'm still here.
No, I just sharing my screen now.
Yep.
So for those who still left over here, I just ready to talk about it. It's 6:40 already. I am not going to go through the rest of the information. Take a look, and Tamara just talking about we need to update our legal document and just good practice. So she's talking about the conflict of interest disclosure that we are going to touch, and she is going to drive that project. The rest of that, I think one thing I want to mention is in the messaging and marketing update, you can see over here. Right now, we are creating an asset for space app, CRT, as the asset we're trying to build, and I can use it for fundraising and everything else. And I should be another good reason for asking the fund donation and using the space app program, the hackathon, to share part of the overhead for the building. Okay.
Yep.
So I'm going to wrap up, and everybody got everybody's emails. So if we got any question, please just email and update everybody to push for more input. I appreciate the directors getting more action and getting things moving forward. Whether we are really moving on the right direction or just need the traction, start generating additional energy and generate a result and push us in a good place.
Okay, thank you, Kywin.
Thank you.
Thank
we
you,
are going to
guys.
wrap for tonight. Appreciate it.
Enjoy the rest of your evening. See you.
Yep.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Bye.